I want to talk about an idea I have to make a better washing machine that could use less power. So dishwashers, and also maybe not as much less power, but also less water. And water, purifying water and stuff uses up a lot of power. It also really drains the lakes, and it's also the more water you dump, the harder it is to clean it because the more water there is to clean. And if you have concentrated sludge, it's a little easier for you to filter out, just due to the volume. So normally when you use a washing machine, it adds most of the water at once or in big scoops. But what if it just adds just enough water to soak all the clothes? And then just a little bit more, and then it really agitated it. So it is more just mixing up with a tiny bit of water a ton. And then it pumps some of this water out and pumps in new water. Now this new water has in the beginning just be pure clean. And this old water will be as concentrated as possible, so you keep using the minimum amount of water. Also, when you have less water in the device at once, the whole device can spin around faster, agitate faster, move faster, because the water is not as, you don't have to move all that same mass of water. If you ever washed clothes, a good half of the mass of clothes you wash or more is the water. So you could spin it with almost twice as fast or more without as much, if there was less water, if there was no water or less water. Then, to make it even better, you could incorporate stuff to filter out that water. And that comes there, you're pouring out. This water that you're pouring out, now if you put this whole thing in a pump cycle, you could spray water continuously in and out and only add water that's only take out dirty. And that spraying water can also act as an agitator, like hands and stuff that scrubs it, just like a dishwasher. So what I'm basically proposing actually is combining a dishwasher and a washing machine in many ways. Now, if you spray this water with an ultrasonic spritzer, you can disrupt the surface tension. So surface tension is what gives water its meniscus, or if you put water ever, you see that it bulges a little up at the sides. Meniscus water. I'll show you a quick picture of meniscus and water. But yeah, it's this little thing. And that's because the water molecules stick to the side and they stick to each other. But this prevents it from going to fibers because it forms little droplets and stuff. But in ultrasonic spritz, you could get it through those ones. It also requires less heating, so you could heat up the water potentially more. And all your detergent is more concentrated doing this whole thing and can be used more. In fact, there's ways you could filter out the detergent, so from the dirty water better, so you could recover the detergent. The ways you could filter out detergent is that detergent is one of the few things that are both hydrophobic and hydrophilic. And if you have it pass through a medium that first repels water, then attracts water with little beads, then only things that have both properties can go through, which are mostly detergent. Clean way, and so you can recycle the detergent and leave water with more gross stuff. And that gross stuff can come out and pull out that's not dissolvable in water that the detergent help, making the water clean so you can put more water. All these ideas, now using less water in the device, it means at the end you can actually use the device in such, you can use less size, using less water doing the whole thing means that in the end you can dry it more easily too, which dryers use a huge amount of energy. And drying it faster would mean better, and also if you use the same device to dry and wash the clothes, it would even be better. Now, how could you use the same device to dry? If you use the same device to dry and wash clothes, not only is that time saving, because you don't have to change it, and you less care because you don't have to think about changing it. But if you spin it really fast during the washing cycle to dry it, to wash it better, now you don't have to slow it down for the dryer cycle and stop it. You can use the same momentum and recover the same energy. So, and that's it. When something is spinning, it doesn't take a lot of energy to keep it spinning compared to everything else. The final improvement I was thinking about that could be used is actually using the whole thing with a microwave heater. Now, you might be like, oh, microwave waves. Microwave waves, you might be like, oh, there's so, also heat pump. I'll go over both of them. Microwave waves, you might be like, oh, it's bad. Have you ever seen what happens when you put microwaves with metals? And the reason why metals spark under microwaves is that they actually focus the microwaves to something called plasmons. Plasmons, if I'm going to show it to you right here, is when a wavelength of light hits the surface of a metal usually. And remember that light is an electromagnetic radiation. It has an electrical component and a magnetic. And in a piece of metal, there's like a sea of electrons everywhere. And the sea of electrons can respond both to a magnet, because electrons respond to magnets, and electric fields. And when you have a plasmon is through a metal, is when that electromagnetic waves interact with the surface of the metal usually. It can be deeper, but it's usually the surface, and causes a propagating wave of electrons and other stuff in the surface of the metal, like back up and down, which this draws a couple pictures here. This wave can lead to really cool strange physics like invisibility cloak or ultra thin lenses, and lenses that bend light in really weird ways. But in a lot of things, microwave waves are the right wavelength to cause it in most metals. Now, imagine what happens when you take a wave and you focus it from a big canal into a little spike. The wave gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and more turbulent and crashing until it can go overflow. That is exactly what happens when plasmons hit a lot of metals. It's not actually the metal plasmon that's too dangerous. It's that it focuses somewhere on the surface and explodes out of it and sparks all that energy. There are ways around this. And the ways around this is to use a very scattered microwave field that doesn't really focus at any one spot very easily. And then also controls where we see where the energy is the most and we lower it down there. Or to use a pulse, where you pulse a microwave, let the energy dissipate in the plasmons, then pulse it again. So why would using microwaves to heat up water be better? Well, then you'll more or less just heating up the water unless the acts are closed in the whole cycle. And heating up the water mostly would lower the energy requirements slightly. You're not heating up all the fabric and everything. It also, microwaves make water molecules spin specifically. And that has a little more help with actually dissolving stuff than regular heat, which regular heat has both a spinning component of the molecules and it has a translational, which just means it goes back and forth. Microwave waves, water, I'll show you. Yeah, so here's how it makes water spin. Water molecule has oxygen side, attracts electrons, and goes to like the positive part of the electromagnetic wave of a microwave in an EM field, and then positive hydrogen atoms in the water molecule, like Teddy said, turns to the negative part, and because the microwave is oscillating in the right frequency, it turns the whole thing. And this turning motion means that this water molecule has all this rotational energy, which means that when any part of the water molecule grabs onto it, either oxygen or hydrogen is going to grab onto most parts of the molecule that's dissolving. It then not only it grabs on, but then it spins and whips it more part or gives it more energy than just it bumping into it. It sticks and spins it off. And it's kind of like searing, if you can imagine it. The other way that could use in conduction is heat pumps to heat this up. Heat pumps are a device that extracts heat the opposite of a conventional, of an air conditioner. So I'm going to show you heat pump. Heat pumps are usually the most efficient way of heating stuff, but they heat more than just the water. But how the heat pump works, or none of these pictures are great. Maybe if I spell it better. But how a heat pump works is, if you compress a liquid or a gas or anything, it gets hotter. If you compress it, ideal gas by twice as much, it has twice the heat. Then you can pump that heat up to heat up something else. Then you decompress, then you pump out that gas, pump in new gas, and compress it, and so on and so on. That's a simple one. Sometimes there's fluids and stuff that are exchanging the heat and other equipment. Sometimes it's liquids. Sometimes it's other things, but you compress something to make it get rid of its heat and pump it out. The reason why heat pumps are so efficient is unlike conventional heaters, which just pump in heat. The most famous is joule heating, which is just whenever you have a wire that resists electricity and it gets hot, like in a toast oven, in most electric ovens, all electric stovetops, is that heat pumps extract energy that's already there. So you're not only putting the energy from the actual device into heating your house, but you're also putting energy from the outside world into your house or the gas. Putting a heat pump in for heating up the air in this device could be more efficient, and using it to also extract some of the heat from the water coming out to heat up this whole thing, but maybe not in the beginning. Then you can combine these whole things. Also, if this thing takes longer cycles, then you can do it in short cycles. But if it takes longer cycles than your most normal designs, you can make it even more efficient. And I would argue that longer cycles in here is not as bad, because one of the few reasons why you don't have your clothes going on for like 16 hours long in the washing and dryer is because then you have to remember to change it. So it's the time it takes plus the time in between changing it, plus just the memory thing. If it was a no hassle thing, it might be worth just letting your clothes in for 16 hours, or it might be something that people push for, give up a little bit of luxury for better energy efficiency and price. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you found these ideas interesting. Feel free to promote them. Please like it, subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year, 4,000 watch hours too, which is really hard, but with your help, I think you can do it. Also, if you have any ideas for future topics, questions, or any criticisms or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, or feel free to DM me. I just don't want to give out my DM to everybody. Thank you very much. Goodbye.